It's the I Can't Mom Today podcast with Heather, the new mom, and Vera, the seasoned mom. I Can't Mom Today.
Hey, this is Vera and Heather back again with a new episode of I Can't Mom Today podcast. Hi, Vera.
Hey, Heather.
I guess all our episodes are new unless you re-listen to them.
I guess so.
And we're doing this podcast a little weird, a little different because we're usually not seeing each other. So yes. I don't talk to you. I just hear you.
Yes.
So this is very strange for me.
It is a little bit weird for me, too.
I mean, I love seeing your beautiful face, but...
Oh, yes. Oh, darling. And my beautiful voiceover booth that's lined with grandma's blankets.
Yes. Yes. Well, we have a very special guest today. Vera, you want to go ahead and introduce our...
Yes. Leah Rabalato. Hello, Leah.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Yes. It's always fun to have... well, first of all, we'll introduce your expertise, but also just fun to have another mom to talk to as well. Not that Heather isn't enough for me.
Yeah. It's so weird. Now I have to hide like I'm drinking, and usually
okay.
I'll respond to a text or two.
Oh, nice.
I mean, I love really you. Cool.
Uh-huh.
It's usually urgent text. I'm like, hey.
Well, well, that's understandable.
Or what Baker's doing at school. So.
Yes. Well, I understand that too. So Leah, well, today we're going to discuss allergies, but I wanted you to, it's not just exactly allergies, but go ahead and tell us your story. Of course, you're a mom, so tell us about your kids and tell us about the Allergy Institute and all that. Give us some scoopage.
So I'm a mom. I have two boys who are 10 and 8, and my oldest one has 13 anaphylactic allergies. Which any mom can tell you, a food allergy mom can tell you that really throws you for a loop. We got Miles, who's my 10-year-old, at 6 months old. And at the time he was addicted to steroids, and we knew he had some medical challenges. And at 3 days old, we gave him smushed up avocado because, he was 6 months old, he had teeth, and he stopped breathing, which, it's surprising as a first-time mom to have your child stop breathing in front of you. And I wish I could tell the story better, but I don't remember a lot of it. I just remember panicking, screaming expletives at my husband, which, he was home on maternity. And I was, on maternity leave. And he called an ambulance, which thank God they happened to be just around the corner, 2 blocks from our house. These big burly firemen and ambulance. There was just a lot of people in my house all of a sudden came in, shot him with epinephrine, which is commonly now known as the EpiPen or Auvi-Q. There's several different brands. He threw up like the Exorcist. We were already in the ambulance. They picked him up, brought him into the ambulance, shot him. And it was there was vomit all over me. There was vomit all over me.
Well, yeah, avocado too, not to make light of it, but yeah, the green avocado that is like pea soup.
It was everywhere. And we were already moving, off we went to the races. And so at the time we lived in Houston, a suburb of Houston, Texas, and we were brought to the local hospital. They quickly transferred us to the downtown, which Texas Children's Hospital, where we met, which happened to be one of the leading experts in the field. And we were at the hospital for quite a bit of time, where we then found out he had multiple issues going on. And so that was my introduction to motherhood. That's sort of the short story.
Wow.
So, it was a bit traumatizing, but fast forward, 6 years, we now had 2 children. We were able to adopt his biological sibling 2 years later as an infant. Oh. And so then I had 2 under 2, or I guess 2 and newborn. Which, as I'm sure all the other moms out there can relate, is just insanity. There's a lot of your life that you just forget, or really no one would have 2 and 3 and 4 more children. And then when Miles was in first grade, I was working as the vice president of marketing for a large Fortune 500 company. I was one of the first female executives, and I was in a board meeting when I got a phone call from the school that Miles was in anaphylaxis. He was in an ambulance. I just, like any other parent, not just mom, but parent, human being, grabbed my laptop, grabbed my purse, and ran out the door. And trailing behind me was a colleague saying, "Oh, another mom vacation."
I'm sorry. That makes my insides Burn.
So like 5 years later, the tone, the sound of that jackass, sorry, can I say that?
That's okay. Yeah.
Voice is still with me. So that moment, I was in the hospital for 3 days with him. My husband happened to be in Saudi Arabia on a business trip. I, then had a 4-year-old in preschool. I had to like call the nanny and get shuffle him to the right place, make sure he was well cared for. And, all of these things, like I still talk about it and get so angry, and it's been years.
Yeah.
So that prompted me to really change my life. I was really stressed out. When I was at work, I was worried about home. When I was at home, I was worried about work. I was always working because being the first female executive at this company, really wanted to, felt like I was doing it for all women.
Yeah, you had something to prove, man. Yeah.
Great. I was like 100 pounds soaking wet. And, I'm not a giant person to begin with, but 100 pounds was not enough. I was living on coffee till it was socially acceptable to drink wine. I wasn't sleeping. I was a wreck. Aww. And no one is happy. When mom's a wreck, the family is a wreck. Yep. And so one day I just quit. Like after that, I was like, I'm done. I can't do this. And so I looked for like a doctor, a psychologist, a therapist, a guru, a life coach. Like I needed someone to tell me how to manage all of this better, because I was not managing. I felt like I was constantly sort of treading water, and it just wasn't working. And I loved working. I love moms who can stay at home and be the stay-at-home mom. I have such like admiration for them, because it's not me. I suck.
Yeah,
me too.
I am, and if nothing else, quarantine has told me I am really not good at it.
Yeah.
But no one could tell me. Like everyone could tell me. I could find all the information on how to medically manage food allergies, how to medically manage the chronic illnesses that my family deals with. But no one could tell me the practical advice. Like, how do you go to work? How do you have proper childcare? How do you manage the stress, the tension, the exhaustion that comes with it? How do you mitigate it? It literally wasn't out there. And I lived in Houston, the medical capital of like the United States. So I went back to graduate school because, what else was I going to do?
Sure. You don't have anything else on your plate.
Yeah. Easy peasy. Yeah.
And I became the expert I desperately needed. I did the research. I got my master's in child and adolescent psychology. I'm still going to graduate school to become licensed in the state of Georgia to get my master's in counseling. So I'm continually learning, continually researching to have the best options for my clients, so that no one does what I did. My business partner, her name's Didi Vecino, and she owns the Aller Cuisine. Our goal is that no one suffers the way we did growing up, having her children are now in college, dealing with all this like insanity. So that's why I started the Food Allergy Institute. I had been working for food allergy research and education in their education department for several years, and decided to leave there so that I could make a real practical impact on patients and families and clients, because I wanted to be right down helping people one-on-one and working with families and working with schools and corporations, so that people can learn how to advocate for themselves with their doctors. Maybe the best doctor in the world isn't the best doctor for you. Mm-hmm. How do you talk to your school so that your child is safe and included? October happens to be National Anti-Bullying or Bullying Prevention Month. How do schools create climates so that aren't only safe and inclusive for food allergy children or children with other chronic illnesses, but are safe and inclusive for everyone, so that the pressure and the tension is removed from the classroom entirely, so teachers have the freedom to teach. They really have enough on their plates that they shouldn't have to be dealing with this. So that's really what I'm passionate about. And that was a really long way of telling you what I do.
No, but it's good. I wanted to hear all of that background because, well, as you were saying about the inclusive environment, I was thinking about how when my son Luke was in elementary school, apparently there must have been a child that went to that school that had a peanut allergy. Mm-hmm. And sure enough, he said, I used to make his lunches, and he'd say, Mommy, please don't give me granola bars or peanut butter and jelly, because then I have to sit at the peanut table. I was like, the peanut table? What are you talking about? And he'd say, yeah, there's one table at the cafeteria where if you have any kind of peanuts in your lunch, you have to sit there, because I guess, they were trying to avoid. Right. Well, so that, I think that's great, and they're looking out for whatever child or children had that allergy. But then it was kind of weird because then it's like the kids that don't have allergies but have a PB&J have to go sit at the peanut table. So that kind of made him feel left out because he had a PB&J. And I was like, well, geez, Louise, he's so picky, and that's one of the few things that he'll eat, and I can't make him a PB&J,
Yeah. What's funny is research has shown when you do that, you actually create tension, you increase the rate of bullying, and you do not make the area or the room or whatever, school, safer. You actually increase levels of use of EpiPen or use because you create this false sense of security, like, okay, all the peanuts or all the dairy, whatever the allergy is over here, we're fine. So teachers and all the other adults who are responsible for cleaning and all that kind of stuff let their guard down. So it's actually better to just assume that the allergen is always present, and because you're not going to read labels the same way an allergy parent is going to.
Sure.
Right.
Because label reading is complicated on a good day. And actually during the pandemic, food labeling has become challenging. The FDA has relaxed some safeguards that have been put in place because of food shortages. And actually it caused my son to have an anaphylactic reaction a couple of months ago because of a labeling error and just changing in manufacturing processes. So it just sets you up for failure. So I always tell schools, let's not separate. And, it causes anger, anxiety, bullying. It removes that inclusiveness. Food allergy is the only disability, and it is considered a disability in most cases, that it's okay to put kids at a different table. If you had another disability that, say, it's visible, like using crutches, or if you were blind and had a cane or a wheelchair, and you put those kids at a different table, media would be at your doorstep.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think I see why it's different, but I see that it shouldn't be. So one is, you're trying to keep them safe by doing that, but being that it's a disability, it shouldn't be that case. So.
Right. And you're not. The challenge is you're just sort of, you're setting yourself up for failure. So in a way, it's not fair for the people who think you're helping keep safe. You're actually making it more dangerous, research has shown.
I can identify with this to some degree. My son is epileptic. And he, unfortunately, and he's in high school, he's 17. And he unfortunately had a seizure while he was at school. The teacher, the nurse, first of all, the school nurse is amazing. And I'm already thinking about what I'm going to give her as a gift when he graduates. But she's been amazing all these years and super understanding and super supportive. And but that aside, the math teacher, it was in his math class, every time, because he was taking a test. And we think that was part of the trigger, although what it really was he wasn't taking his medicine as he should. But the teacher would say, all right, well, Luke, are we going to have a problem today? Every time that they took a test.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And I know that she was meaning to be like, I think she was meaning to be kind of sympathetic and whatever, but I think that also too, she was anxious because it scared the bejesus out of her, Sure. As a seizure, like you said, you see your child not breathing. It's like, the first
terrifying,
time I gave him mouth to mouth. I don't know what to do. Of course, what I learned now, that was a mistake. Don't do that. If anybody has a seizure, do not do that. Anyway, so that now he has that same teacher again for pre-calculus. He gets anxiety in that class now. And I'm trying to get him switched out of, and they're having trouble getting him switched, and it's just a hot mess. But sorry, I'm digressing. But the point is that, like you were saying about the inclusiveness and like calling attention to it, like it should just be, okay, well, the kids know that Luke had a seizure one day, but then it's done, leave it alone. Exactly. So what do you suggest to schools? Like what's a practical application that you suggest to schools, like with the allergen stuff?
What's kind of a silver lining is like around Facebook and Instagram and, all the social media that I'm not great at, is sort of in the early stages of the pandemic, when we first started cleaning everything and constantly washing hands and, wiping everything down, we're still obviously doing that, but now it's becoming more of a norm, is we were like, hi, welcome to having a food allergy. So it really is washing hands, cleaning surfaces. And it's not using hand sanitizer, unfortunately, for food allergies, because one of the things I do when I teach younger kids, and I always do this outside before I get angry letters from teachers or parents, is I put a little bit of glitter on your hands. And then we put hand sanitizer on, and you'll see the glitter is still on your hands because that represents the allergen. It kills germs. So this is why it's helpful during COVID, but it doesn't remove the food particles. And just the tiniest, literally a piece of glitter can cause, which is representative of the allergen, can cause an anaphylactic reaction or an allergic reaction. So we have to actually wash hands, clean surfaces well, and do that in between lunches and snacking and all kinds of stuff. So it's a matter of keeping clean, learning how to, when we're cooking, keeping things separated, washing, pots, pans, having separated areas for doing preparation and things like that, and really being aware of ingredients. For schools, it's a lot of, teaching kids really young, and kids are so much better than adults, not rewarding with food, rewarding with stickers and, all that crap from the dollar store that, I have a love-hate relationship with.
Yes.
Yeah.
When we talk,
pencils. Oh, sorry.
How much of that crap do you find around the house and you're like, they're not looking, throw away.
All the time.
Yes.
Yeah, tons, and now that you have kids in high school, it's a different reward system. I was a little annoyed yesterday. One of my children is going to in-person school. My younger son is on the spectrum. He has what's called processing disorder and severe ADHD. So we really could not do virtual school. And so we sort of balance, and we're really fortunate. He has 4 kids in his class.
Awesome.
And they're in these partitions. The whole classroom is partitioned with plexiglass. He's like, I go into my cubby.
Wow.
Great. It's a first grade, it's better than the presidential or what was it last night?
Vice president.
Debate. Yeah.
And, he's loving it because they're writing with expo markers. Anyway.
Oh, that would be fun to write on that that would be fun.
Yeah.
There's only 4 of them in this big classroom. And so it's working out actually pretty good for him.
Cool.
Oh my gosh. Totally
lost your train.
But it's a lot about sort of cleaning the surface. So not rewarding. So anyway, so he came home and said, oh, I did, great on his times tables and he got Starburst. And I was like, what? Well, we've been at this school. We've lived here for about 2.5 years. We've been through the no food rewards, for multiple, health reasons. But it's COVID. I'm going to give her a pass. But things for younger kids, stickers, extra time on the playground, no homework passes, just there's tons of things that have nothing to do with food. And then as you get older, junior high and high school, automatic A on a test, no homework passes again. Lots of kids generally just want no homework.
Or screen time.
Yeah, screen time. For the older, high school kids, if you get a B on a test, an automatic, add 10 points to your, your quiz grade or something like that. Just lots of things that have nothing to do with food. Treasure boxes, instead of having schools, believe it or not, still do cupcakes for birthdays. That's a big issue for food allergy kids. So instead of doing that, bring in, little trinkets. And then once a month have everyone's birthday who's in October. We're going to have a dance party. The teacher will eat lunch with you, which may not be so special right now because I think most teachers have to eat lunch in their classroom. But we are going to have 20 minutes of happy birthday time on the playground.
Yeah.
We're going to have no homework for, whatever. The kids whose birthday have no homework. We're not going to have a spelling test this week, which, so there's lots of things you can do that don't have to do with food and everyone can benefit from.
And the birthday people become heroes because they get fun.
Right?
Right.
Thanks for having your birthday.
I know.
Right now, bring in extra bottles of hand sanitizer for everyone.
Right?
Woohoo! So, I know Parents seem to be more attached. I mean, I was literally yelled at in a parking lot. It was the beginning of last year when I was talking with, like open house, and I was going through with the teacher who had already met. I said, yeah, I said, if you have to have food, like we usually recommend a 5-day, like there's going to be times when there's going to be food, and kids do need to learn how to get used to that. I said, if you could just give me 5 days notice, so I make sure there's something that he can eat, and we do it safely and things like that. And, I'm fortunate. I work for myself, so I can be really flexible. I see most of my clients actually even before COVID via Zoom. So we can work it out. And she said, yeah, no problem. And this woman says, so you mean no cupcakes, like just for fun? And I said, we'd really prefer just no cupcakes. And the teacher was like, yeah, we don't really like to have all that sugar in the classroom, and it throws like the lesson plan all off. And she said, if you need to have it for birthdays, we'll do it at lunchtime in the cafeteria. She said, my daughter has been looking forward to cupcakes at her birthday her entire life. What? How sad is your daughter's life? That's
right.
Is that what she's been looking forward to?
Yeah. See, again, that's so, well, people with food, especially, like, I'll never forget when I worked in high school in an ice cream store, and people would get like obsessive, like, God forbid somebody skipped the line by accident or whatever. I mean, there'd be like almost a full on brawl if people couldn't get their ice cream. They had to have their ice cream. Right. And it's so insane to me, but I've noticed that people are like with the cupcakes, for some reason, that's, would it be her entire life? Good God, lady.
So just really, I mean, when you say, if you're that person who just thinks cupcakes at school are so important, really take a step back and think about, how are you being kind? My whole business, we really talk about, like with my partner and I and, our assistant and things like that, we really talk about, how are you being kind in this moment? We talk about with our kids and things like, our whole business is based on being kind. If you're not being kind in this moment, whether it's in business and life with, and that's how I talk to my clients, like when we're forming policies for school, when we're teaching our families, our online course is called Your Ultimate Guide to Finding Your Aller Tribe. And it's really talking to families about, you need support. If you have a chronic illness, a food allergy, you can't do it alone. And one of the challenges food allergies families do is they try and do everything alone. Like they just isolate themselves. A real issue for moms is that they get really, really isolated. They become chronically depressed, clinically isolated, so that they're so sad. And then their kids finally sort of grow up and they've become these shells of people. When we know that moms can really change the world, they can have such an impact, whether it's through how they are operating within their own household, in their own community. We need these moms not to just sit home and focus solely on what their kid is eating. We want them to go out and be social for not only their children's health, but for their own mental health. So that's why our program really focuses on helping the family learn how to find the support they need, go out and do the things they love. It's really focused on living their best life, which is not what my best life looks like, or your best life, or your best life. It's what their best life looks like, so that they are not so isolated within this bubble here.
Yeah. Well, and that, wouldn't you rather raise a child to think, oh man, I've really always wanted to have cupcakes at school for my birthday. What a bummer. But hey, let's think, what if you were that kid who has the allergies? How would you feel? Or the kid that can't have that sugar for one reason or another? How would you feel? Like, I would want to raise a person to think about the big picture and think about how other people feel, rather than, oh, I don't get to have my cupcakes. Good God. I mean, really?
Yeah. I mean, eventually you're going to go out into the workplace and you have to learn, how to live in a society of people with differences. We spend a lot of time teaching kids who are different, who, maybe have epilepsy or diabetes or on the spectrum or ADHD or food allergies, how to live within a society. We spend very little time teaching children who are, quote unquote, normal, how to live amongst people who are different. So when I work with schools, and my partner spends more of the time working with corporations, we really help them try and change the framework. Like, you have to include everyone. so it would be great if we taught children from a young age to include everyone, so that we don't spend quite as much time teaching people who are different that they have to work so hard to fit in. It's really, really such a gift if you have that taught to you early so that you're not so fearful. And so that those of us in society who live with maybe a little bit of a difference aren't struggling so much. It just shouldn't be so hard. And I don't want these parents to have to struggle so hard, which is why I do what I do. I want them to feel confident. I want them to be able to go to the neighborhood barbecue and, go to soccer games and, if their kid wants to do drama or chess club or ninja warrioring, like my kids do rock climbing and really way too high. Whatever your kid wants to do, they can do it. You just have to plan, and you need, I want you to go on date night. I want you to do whatever it is you like to do and be able to have a babysitter and go to holiday parties. And, we're coming up on Thanksgiving and all the end of year holidays, which, and Halloween, which of course is a lot different this year, and do it with confidence and not be anxious through every single gathering when we get together again, and travel successfully when we can travel again.
Right.
All these interviews I'm doing lately, I'm like, when we can do it again.
Exactly. Someday when we can all leave our houses.
I think that's what you said a few minutes ago really speaks volumes to how our country is right now, which is the lesser perceived person, group, whatever, is told to adhere to the majority group. And rather than the other way around, the majority group being helped and given those tools to accommodate more of the minority because they're, well, it doesn't affect me, so why does it matter? Like it does, because it affects somebody else. And so I think making that shift as a entire environment is what, our country, and I'm sure other countries deal with similar things. I just don't live in other countries, so I don't know.
Yeah, we're certainly not alone. Other countries, some countries do it better. Some countries, of course, do it worse.
Sure.
It's just, and I can't say that I'm always perfect because, of course, I lose my temper. Ask my children.
I'm cool, calm, and collected.
Me
always,
never,
so.
always. Yeah.
My children often say, like, why are you yelling at me? I'm like, well, the last 10 times I told you to put your shoes on.
Exactly.
I was super kind about it. Now that we're 10 minutes past where we're supposed to be and you still don't have your shoes on.
Put your shoes on.
Or the fact that I just tripped over your, backpack in the middle of the hallway and you don't even leave the house to go to school. I'm confused.
I don't know how the backpack got there. It grew legs somehow.
Weird. So that's, it's not as hard as people make it out to be. If you just, and it's the reason people make it hard is we're so busy. If a psychologist came from say 1950, 1960 and saw all of the things women are taking on now, they would literally hospitalize us. They would be like,
where do I sign up?
What is going on?
Is it like a vacation?
Yeah.
I am. I often am like, sure, can I go to the hospital? Not now.
Do they serve pina coladas? Just wondering for science.
Is there an island we can go to? A little bit of wine, some cheese.
Perfect.
And it's this shift. And, I'm really fortunate. I have a great husband who is pretty helpful. And I hate saying helpful because they're his kids too.
Exactly.
This is his house and his kids. And, but I am a bit of a control freak. It's part of it's my own fault that I'm like, I'll just do it.
I'll just do it because you won't do it right anyway.
Yeah. My cleaning standards are way different than my husband's.
Yeah.
Way different.
But part of it is learning how to communicate and things like that. So communicating with those people who we need support from, and I teach people how to do this and I'm not always good at it. So a lot of it is just saying, hey, I need help. And it's viewed as a weakness. And it's not. Just saying, very frankly, I need help. Recently we're dealing with some health struggles with my older son that's not at all related to his food allergies, that we have to travel to the Mayo Clinic to get treatment. And I was really struggling and doing everything myself. And, my husband and I were, I was doing all the medical stuff and still keeping up everything. And and I said, I need some freaking help. I'm exhausted.
Mhm.
And so I called my parents, like I am however old I am. And,
Mhm.
I had to be like, Mom, I am so tired. And
Yep.
so really fortunate that they live about 4 hours from us. And, they stayed quarantined and we stayed quarantined and literally just went to their house for a couple of days so I could sleep.
Oh, yeah. I understand that completely. Absolutely. Well, what are some of the, like, tell us so that if people want to maybe reach out to you or find some of the resources that you offer, where can people find you and contact you?
So we offer our online course 4 times a year. So the next time will be in November. If you just go to my website, foodallergyinstitute.com,
Okay.
or you can follow me. Everything we do is on Instagram at the Food Allergy Institute. You can follow us there and you can always send us a direct message. We get back to everyone, usually pretty quickly within a day. So, we love to just chat with people if you have questions or, want to just hang out. We're happy to do that. We usually do Thirsty Thursdays where you can send us a question. We'll answer it doing live video chats. We're taking a break in October. We have so much going on, but they'll be back in November. So we look forward to connecting and talking. But yeah, if you want to sign up for our course, that starts again the first week in November. And we'd love to have some new faces and keep following us. And, you'll see all the good things we're doing. If you want to download my book for free, there's a spot on the homepage of my website that says podcast. Enter here. You can download it for free just for listening.
Awesome.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Leah. It's been awesome talking to you again. Like I said, another mom and somebody who's helping those moms and kids and who are struggling with the food allergy. And again, even with my situation, it's not an allergy, but the epilepsy or chronic illness or anything that your child or family might be dealing with, I think it applies,
Yeah, I'd say about 30% of the people we work with don't have food allergies, but a chronic illness. So, and we are going to start, you watch us on Instagram, but we're going to sort of expand our services to just general chronic illnesses. So
Cool. Well, we'll have to look for that for sure too, because I'm an RA girl, so I've got one too.
Yeah.
Fun. Yeah. So I'll definitely look for that so I can learn some from you on that as well.
Great.
I'm undiagnosed at this point. I'm sure there's something that's going to come up.
Everyone needs a therapist. Everyone needs a therapist.
Yes.
Heck yeah. Absolutely. Thanks again, Leah. And until next time, don't forget, we are at I Can't Mom Today podcast on everywhere, on Instagram, on Twitter, on YouTube, on Facebook, of course. And you can email us at ican'tmomtodaypodcast@gmail.com. We're there too. Please rate our podcast. We need some stars. So, you can be honest, but hopefully it'll be 5 stars. We could use some ratings too.
And it takes all of like 30 seconds.
Exactly. Just click the star. Just
scroll all the way down to the bottom.
Yeah.
They don't make it easy.
Thanks again. Until next time.
Bye.